وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا ثم أما بعد. So tonight, inshallah ta'ala, as part of our discussion of the 10th of the Hijjah, we're talking about different events and different aspects of Al-Hajj. So I want to share with you the story of Zamzam. I don't know how many of you know the details of the story of Zamzam and how it came about to be what it is today and so forth. So briefly, inshallah, we're talking about the story of Zamzam from the beginning. How far can we go studying the history of Zamzam? When did it come out in that region? And how early that is. The only thing that the record that are clear to us and most authentic comes, of course, at the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam. From the very famous story when Ibrahim alayhi salam, he went and he sent his wife and his child, Ismail, and he left them there in that, as Allah subhanahu described in the Quran, biwadin ghayri dhi zara, a completely barren valley, dead and empty, absolutely nothing there. So Hajar, when she saw her husband just leaving her there, and he left the bag of some food and some water, and he left. Obviously, in the desert, I mean, how much is it going to sustain them over there? So as he was leaving, she chased him out. She said, "Ya Ibrahim, where are you going? Where are you leaving us?" And he didn't even turn back to see. He kept going forward. And she kept going after her. "Ya Ibrahim." Then she asked him, she says, "Is that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered you to do?" So he said to her, "Allahumma na'am." Yes, indeed, this is from Allah Azza wa Jal. So she told him, just go ahead. If this is coming from Allah Azza wa Jal, then Allah has a plan for us. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُضَيِّعَنَا. Allah is not going to cause us to go waste or lost. So He will take care of us. Ibrahim alayhi salam left. Now Hajar, she stayed there waiting for whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala planned for her to happen. And she waited and she waited. Eventually she consumed the water that she has. And her little baby was an infant and started crying. She's getting dry herself because she's not having enough sustenance and enough fluids. So she wants to see where she can get the water. So she looks around. For those who have been in Mecca, for Umrah or for Hajj, you know how far As-Safa from the Kaaba. Not that far. So the closest hill that she was able to see was As-Safa. So she went straight to As-Safa, trying to see if there's any caravan anywhere. Is moving in whichever direction. At least she could find something that she will save herself and her child. She looked around, there was nothing. And the next closest hill in that area was Al-Marwa, which you guys will go between the Masa, As-Safa and Marwa. So she went down As-Safa, and then she went all the way going up Al-Marwa and looking from that direction, different areas, see if there's anything that you can find. Nothing. Then she went back again to see maybe by the time she got to Al-Marwa, she waited there for some time. Probably now somebody's passing by As-Safa. She went back again to As-Safa. And she waited there for some time. Again, she thought, okay, maybe somebody from the other side. She kept doing that 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the Prophet said, this is basically what people do. Again, we're commemorating the events of the life of Ibrahim alayhi salam and his household. So she did 7 times, starting from As-Safa, ending at Al-Marwa. And by the time she got there, her son was crying. And obviously she needed to go and check on the baby. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala arsala Jibreel. He sent Jibreel. And there underneath the feet of her child, Ismail, the water started gushing out. Now, many ulama, they look into the meaning of it. What does that exactly mean? So they start trying to give interpretation to the events of the sa'i. See, a sa'i is just an indication, the kind of like metaphoric expression. The physical activity itself and the metaphor of a sa'i itself is just like what you do in your life. It's all of what you do in your life, running between chores. Running between chores. But then the water coming from underneath the feet of her child, that is an indication that whatever you do, rizq comes from Allah Azza wa Jal, not from your running. And it comes sometimes from the place and the spot and the area where you least expecting. I mean, she was looking for somebody else to give her the water, right? And she was running between the 2 mountains, up and down, up and down. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought the water underneath the feet of her baby, just right there. And that tells us to put our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're only responsible to do our part. That's it. The correlation between an asbab and the result, it's sometimes mystery. Because only Allah Azza wa Jal would know how these happen. Again, it's blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the water came out, and when she saw the water start gushing out, immediately she didn't know how much water is going to come out of it, right? So she wanted to secure that water. So she started kind of, with her hands, trying, in the Arabic language says azam, which means kind of creating a pool, closing it around. The Prophet ﷺ says in the hadith, may Allah have mercy on Hajar, the mother of Ismail. If she left the water to run, would have been, Zamzam would have been actually a running river, or like a gushing ayn and water spring. But she controlled it, she contained that, so it became a bit more like a well. And then she kept the water there. And that was a lifesaver. So she stayed there for some time. A tribe from Qabilat Jurhum, they were leaving Yemen at the time after the flood destroyed the livelihoods over there. So they were coming up north looking for a place to live in. As they were passing by that area, they noticed some vultures and some of these birds, flying above, hovering in that area. And they usually hover over any form of life or water. So the people in that caravan, they say, you know what, we've been traveling through these areas for a very long time. We never thought there was water in that area. So they sent someone to go and fetch, see if there's anything happening there. So the two people went there, and they found the lady with her baby and water. So they came to the caravan. They said, hey, there's water over there. So when they went there, and they saw the lady, the chivalry of the people of that time, they told her, you know what, do you mind if we get some water from you? She said, yes, but it's mine. I'll keep it mine. You're going to share a little bit with you, but that's going to be mine. And they said, sure. And they stayed there, and eventually that settlement was the beginning of the establishment or the re-establishment of the city of Mecca. Mecca was established. Ibrahim a.s. was sent back to build Al-Kaaba. We talked about this in the previous session. And then Zamzam obviously continued to be there and continued to stay. This is now also from the time of Ismail a.s. all the way until the time of the Arabs of Mecca before the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. From the greatest maybe third actually grandfather, there was some tribal feud. Some tribal feud between the tribe of Bakr and Khuza'a and the tribe of Jurhum. Jurhum was in control of the area. Bakr and Khuza'a, they wanted to take their rightful position in the area, which was their right eventually. As they were fighting for it, eventually, Jurhum, they realized, okay, they're losing. So what they did, they destroyed the water well. Completely, they buried it so that they would never be able to find it. And then when they destroyed everything, they left. When they left, when the Bakr and Khuza'a came in, they couldn't find the exact spot and source for the water well, for Zamzam. So it kept gushing underground, basically, for many, many generations, until it was the generation of the grandfather of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abdul Muttalib. Abdul Muttalib at the time had only one child, Al-Harith ibn Abdul Muttalib. So, and he was not among the most popular, probably, in terms of size, but he was from Banu Hashim. In one of his dreams, he said he had actually he had the same vision 3 times, the same dream 3 times. He said that he was sleeping in Hijr Ismail, the arch, basically structure around Mecca, around the Kaaba. So he was sleeping there, and he said in one of those nights, I hear someone telling me, and someone came to him in his dream, قال احفر طيبة. He says, you need to go and dig طيبة. So I said, وما طيبة? What is طيبة? طيبة means the good one. And then this person left, didn't give him an answer. The following night, he slept in the same spot or in that area, and in his dream, he sees the same person coming back and says, احفر برا. You need to dig for barra, the pure one. I'm just like, what is barra? And he left. The third time comes, قال احفر زمزم. When he asked him, what is Zamzam? Then he gave him the scripture, Zamzam is water that is everlasting. It doesn't actually dry out. It will be a pure and nutrition for the Hujjaj and the visitors and so on. And then he gave him the scripture where it can be found. So it will be found near the blood and al-fart. Al-fart was done basically when they slaughter animals, whatever comes from the intestine and the body, this is called al-fart. So he's going to find it there. There will be an ant's mound in the area, and there will be a crow that comes and starts picking on that spot, dig there. or gave him some sort of like an incident is going to happen. And so when Abdul Muttalib, he woke up, he was always anxious about this description. Like, is it true? Just hallucinating in his dream. Until one day, there was somebody in Mecca, not near that area, they were slaughtering a camel. And as they did that, he was sitting there watching. He wasn't paying attention to it. Suddenly, he realized that, okay, so basically the blood and the farth, and then there was actually, he noticed there was an ant mound in the area, and then suddenly a crow came down and started picking in a certain spot. Immediately he picked it up. So he went there, he took his son Al-Harith, and he started digging. The people of Mecca, they were laughing at him, like, what are you doing to yourself? He kept digging and digging and digging until he finds the treasures of the Kaaba. Because the Jurhum, before they left, they buried all the gold that was actually in the Kaaba, and the water was there as well. So he got the gold, he got the treasures, and the water also came out, and he's claiming the water. Obviously, the Arab, they start disputing over this issue. They were disputing over this issue. What are we going to do? He says, it's mine. He said, no, you have to share it. You have to take the honor altogether. But then they said, okay, fine. Let's go and seek arbitration from one of those soothsayers that they have, a lady known as Arrafa, like she's a soothsayer in the desert. Let's go there and we'll talk to her. So as these leaders and elders, they left, on the way, somehow there was a storm or something like that, so they got lost. And they realized that the water started running out from them. They started getting thirsty. And they basically started saying, what are we going to do? Abdul Muttalib, being the elders among all of them, he said, you know what? We're going to die. That's it, we're dying. So how about each one of you, while you still have some strength in your body and your arms, dig your own grave. And we just lay down by our graves. Whoever dies, we just push him into the grave and we cover them. And the last one will be the one who will be wasted. It says one individual to be wasted better than the entire congregation. And they did. But then after some time, while they were waiting, Abdul Muttalib, he's just like, Wallahi, inna hada la min al-ajz. Like, seriously, what are we doing to ourselves? That's nonsense. Let's get up and try to find a way to survive, and if we die on the process, at least we tried our best. Get up. So he asked everybody to get up. As they were getting up, Abdul Muttalib, he pushes his camel. Eventually, the water starts coming from underneath the camel of Abdul Muttalib. So when the Arab, they saw that, they said, you know what, Saqaq Allah. Allah's given you water. You know what, we're not going to dispute you with Zamzam. Let's get back. He said, okay, now that you're doing this, says, for me, I would say the treasures goes to the Kaaba, and Zamzam will be dedicated to the Hujjaj. Like, will be free for the Hujjaj. And the honor that will be all sharing in Mecca. And they went back there. And since then, obviously, it has been in the same process. There always been the privilege of keeping Zamzam in the hand of Banu Hashim. And of course, obviously, the land of the Prophet ﷺ continued with that. And until this day, by the way, it's an honorary thing right now. Those who hold the keys to the Kaaba, they're still from Banu Shayba. And those who also take care of the Hujjaj in terms of the water and so on, the same original tribe that they from the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So Zamzam, this is the water actually that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us with to be in Mecca. It has special unique characteristics. Now, I'm not going to go into the scientific things about it, but Hadith Abu Dhar proves that when the Prophet ﷺ said that they made dua, the Nabi Allah made dua for Zamzam to be a barakah, a blessing. Abu Dhar, when he became Muslim, he said he came when Islam was still hidden, basically wasn't public yet. And he was afraid even to proclaim, or at least to ask about it. But somehow, through Ali ibn Abi Talib, who was a young man at the time, he led him to Rasulullah ﷺ. He gave his shahada. He became Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ said to him, listen, go back to your tribe, Banu Ghafar. When you see us prevailing, when you see it winning, come and join us. So Abu Dhar radiallahu anhu, he said, during this time, he spent, I forgot how many days actually, but he spent a long time in Mecca, no food, just waiting for opportunity to find someone who could lead him to this man claimed to be a prophet. He said, during this whole time, I had nothing to eat, nothing to drink except for Zamzam. And he said, during all these days, I even gained weight because of Zamzam. Like, it built basically even, not muscles, fat, yeah. Like, he gained weight because of Zamzam. So does it have the same effect today or not? That's a barakah in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you ever go to Zamzam, inshallah, make sure that you drink as much as you can. Now, some ulama, they dispute over the virtues of Zamzam. Do they stay in Mecca or are they transferable? What does that mean? When the Hujjaj carry with them Zamzam from Mecca and they bring it here to Dallas, when they carry with them that water, does it have the same effect? Does it have the same blessing? I don't want to say yes or no, Jama'ah. Hold again. Does it have the same effect? Some ulama, they say no, Zamzam's virtue is in Mecca. And therefore it's only in Mecca. If it gets out of Mecca, it wouldn't have the same effect. Other ulama, they say no, Zamzam is Zamzam. It doesn't matter whether you drink it in Mecca, drink it in Medina, drink it anywhere else in the world. It will still have the same blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm inclined, of course, towards saying, alhamdulillah, the blessing will continue regardless. It's not about the location, it's about the water itself. And it's a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah give us all the ability to drink from Zamzam ya Rabbil Alameen. Now, whenever you go there, make a lot of dua as you drink, because the Prophet says, Zamzam lima shuriba lah. The water of Zamzam basically is for those who drink it. Whatever dua that you make, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hopefully will answer that dua. Wallahu a'lam. Any questions, Jama'ah? Yes? No. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Zamzam right now is modernized, right? Comes in, mashallah, nice, beautiful pipelines, and you can, it's even cold right now, and you can make wudu. And so, what does that mean? Are we wasting Ma' Zamzam? The answer, we're not wasting Ma' Zamzam. Alhamdulillah, Ma' Zamzam, as the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in the hadith, it wouldn't actually stop. It will continue. And mashallah, if you look at it, it's been generations. And look how many people come to Mecca. Now, the question people, they ask, the Zamzam that is in Mecca right now, is it purely Zamzam or is it mixed? And that's the dispute and the claim. Many people, they say they mix it with regular water in order to increase the quantity so you can feed and provide for all these Hujjaj. And others, they say no. The one in Mecca and the Haram itself is purely Zamzam, but outside of the Haram area, which means outside of the Masjid, obviously people, wherever they live in Aziziyah and other places and so forth, they will have regular water. Wallahu a'lam. Nah. Yes? Okay, reminder inshallah, tomorrow Salat al-Fajr will be at 6:15 and Salat al-Isha inshallah will be at 9:30, starting tomorrow inshallah. So, do you have to be standing up when you drink Ma' Zamzam? I mean, the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ to sit down when you drink, I would say would continue. Wallahu ta'ala. And one time, Ali ibn Abi Talib, he did actually the opposite, but he was just making a point. It wasn't for the sake of it, he was just making basically he was making wudu, and after he finished his wudu, he got up and he drank from that water. And he was saying that I heard that people, they say you're not allowed to drink while standing up, and I've seen the Prophet ﷺ on Arafah drinking the milk when he was standing up. So he was drinking just to prove a point. Wallahu a'lam. Khair inshallah. See you tomorrow, Jama'ah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.